Welcome to the prelims portion, episode 175 of the Beefy Boys breakdown. We're going over UFC Denver, headlined by Namajunas Cortez. Like I said, we're on the prelim section now because we're one of the only shows out there going over every single fight on every single card. And man, Joshua Van versus Charles Johnson is where we're going to start on this one. This was the featured prelim in real time. We're going to work our way back here. And man, we thought the value was way off on this one. Joshua Van minus 250, Charles Johnson plus 205. We had these guys one spot apart in our own personal power rankings, so obviously that's not going to agree with that wide of a money line. But more specifically, we took a Charles Johnson prop. I had it as a straight plus 320. You had it on a two-legger that was like plus 800 or something, right?
Yeah, yes, sir. Which was parlayed with
any.
I was gonna say I didn't know if we wanted to give it away or not. The other leg.
I was about to say, yeah, the other leg had cash though. We'll word it that way.
Yes,
we'll word it that way.
And I was more worried about the other leg almost. Well, no, probably not. I don't know.
But
50,
still,
50, 50,
you were sitting pretty. You were sitting pretty. Especially, Charles Johnson was having success in this fight. Now we're gonna get to it because we got to go kind of round by round, even though it ends in a finish. As people who had Johnson by decision. Like, that's probably the only reason why we care about the round by round, but we're going to do it anyway. Because me and you, Johnson having a lot of success, and I don't believe the judges were seeing it the same way. So we kind of got to get into it a little bit.
It's very strange. Extremely strange. So round one, in my opinion, very close, right?
Yeah, I thought both rounds were close in all fairness.
I was just about to say that too. I was going to say I thought round two was close in all fairness as well. Now, as far as like coin flips or whatever you want to call it, I went to Johnson both 1 and 2. Now, I don't have a problem with you splitting the rounds and going, in my opinion, 1 for Van, 2 for Johnson. But I think getting both to Van is a little egregious.
Lou, you're probably not going to like my scorecard. I go 1 to Johnson, 2 to Van.
What'd you like more about round 2 for Johnson? For Van. I'm sorry, yeah.
The significant strike numbers, and I know real life judges don't get access to those numbers, but I do, so they factor in. Fucking sue me. So he won the significant strike numbers in 2. He was moving forward. I thought he had Johnson on the back feet, and I thought he landed like the bigger shots. But Johnson was landing those straight punches, and He was. I have in my notes kind of weird wording that I don't use often, but like Johnson was like close but no cigar with a lot of those knees and elbows. Like a lot of those knees and elbows were really close. We're hitting the chest. We're hitting the guard. Good work from Johnson. I just thought that probably had the more cleaner landed strikes. He had the more significant strikes landed. And then in round 1, I really liked the kicks from Johnson. He had kicks to all 3 levels. He was beating up the legs, the body. He didn't have any clean head kicks, but he was throwing them. He was making Van defend him.
So I scored round 1 to Johnson as well as round 2, but in defense of Van for round 1, the strike numbers were totally in Johnson's favor, like 50 to 30, but I thought the damage was really close.
I like Van's body work in round 1, and Van was stuffing takedowns in round 1. So Van had some success. Johnson, the significant strike numbers, that's in my notes. Like I said, I like the kicks that Johnson did in round 1.
I think what I find egregious really is just scoring 1 and 2 to Van is kind of crazy. Yeah. Like Charles Johnson won 1 of those rounds.
Agreed.
Now,
for sure.
To bring that to a bigger point before we get to round 3, one judge has rounds 1 and 2 to Joshua Van. It's that same judge, Dina Beta, that fucked us on the Ponzinibbio fight.
Yeah, that guy's tripping, bro. That guy's tripping.
Chris Lee, who also screwed us, has it 19-19. These guys couldn't score a fight to save their fucking life last night. And that's the judge
which round did Chris Lee give to who?
1 to Van, 2 to Johnson. So indirect of you completely.
Yeah, opposite of me.
Yeah, and then Mark Sanchez has both rounds to Johnson, same as me. I like that guy. That being said, this fight was going to be a split decision for Johnson to win, even if it was a decision. And I would have been jaw on the floor if this had gone on for another 5 minutes the way it had gone on in round 2 or 1, and it had been a split.
Yeah, no, for sure. I gotta say, so round 3, we end up not needing the scorecards here. That uppercut
Saucy
lands.
uppercut. My God. And
He
that's,
threw it from way back here too. It was like a video game. It
you
was
know what's
crazy.
crazy is that's a shot Johnson throws like often. Like he throws those video game shots and almost never connects with them because they're just so obvious. But when they connect, holy shit, do they work?
Well, he's a big flyweight, man, and that was obvious the whole fight. He was way bigger than Josh Van. The reach, the height, which was part of our breakdown while we kind
The
of like
cardio in
Johnson.
Denver, like he definitely
Yeah,
weathered the storm of 10 minutes of fighting better.
we kind of nailed our betting breakdown of this one.
The whole card,
The
really.
reach like mattered a lot. The cardio at the altitude mattered a lot. Van's a very good fighter. He's only 22 years old, man. Like Van, in 4 or 5 years, Van's going to be a real fucking problem for people. But like I could see it be like a Max Holloway type situation. You know what I mean? Where Max Holloway came in, lost to Connor, lost to Dustin, but he was so young. Comes back years later, has a lot of success. I could really see a similar kind of career arc for Van. We'll see. I mean, time will tell if he reaches those kind of highs. But point being, he's only 22 years old. This loss to Johnson, not the end of the world, and I'm not losing a bunch of stock in Van. Tough matchup for Van, which we pointed out in our betting breakdown.
No, 100% agree. And then, oddly enough, for Charles Johnson, he's becoming a pretty regular name at flyweight. Like, he's now fought a lot of the flyweights. It's getting harder to match him up based on all of the guys he's already fought.
I know, and it's the same thing. I run into the problem in my power rankings because I moved him up to, 18, but at 17, I got the undefeated Rafael Esteban, who has a win over him. So I wasn't going to skip him over him.
Right? How could you?
So I know he wants to be top 15. I know he's talking about the real rankings and not my, power rankings, but I couldn't get him into the top 15 of my personal power rankings. But there are guys in the top 15 that he could probably beat, like a Tim Elliott or, Lundbeck. No, I think he has a loss to Lundbeck, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe not. I forget. But it's just tough. It's tough. Think about Charles Johnson. He never says no to a fight. He's super active. He's athletic. He's big for the weight class. So he can make, I think Johnson's going to be one of these guys. Like, he can go with any of these guys. I mean, he can go. I don't think he gets dominated or starched by hardly anybody in the division, even the upper end. I think even the upper end. I mean, what? Because he went to a decision with Makayev, right? Now, I have Makayev power ranked 6. I think he can go with any of these guys.
His debut in England was against Makayev, who was an English fighter. So fought Makayev on his home soil, and that was a good fight. I do recall that fight. Lost a split to Ode Osborne, who the UFC would have you think is one of the best flyweights alive.
At the time, he was ranked high. At the time, Ode, I think, was ranked pretty high.
And then, the unanimous decision loss to Cody Durden was tough. The unanimous decision loss to Estevan was tough. But then this guy's already fought 3 times.
Estevan might be a guy, though. That one can age well.
I agree. And then as far as Charles Johnson, he's already fought 3 times this year. All 3 wins. Azat Maxim, Jake Hadley, and Joshua Van. All better in skill.
Win.
Right. All 3 getting better in skill, too, in my opinion.
I'm high on Azat Maxim.
Me too. And so I'm thinking, I think Charles Johnson might be a guy we gotta bet on right now. He's 33. He might really be in his full-on prime right now for fighting.
I did bet him over Maxim, if I'm not mistaken. I remember kind of puffing my chest out on that, where maybe I had him on a parlay that didn't cash or something. I don't remember exactly. I thought I remembered that. But Johnson, live dog for sure. It said our by decision prop doesn't cash, but we weren't too far off. We weren't too far off. We were a lot closer.
Got within 5 minutes of it.
Got this fight better than Vegas did. I'll tell you that goddamn much.
100%. Yeah, 100,000%. Because they thought Charles Johnson wouldn't win, and we thought that was definitely the path. We even thought we knew the path. That being said, I say we keep it pushing.
Performance of the night for Johnson. I believe that might be his first bonus of his career. So yeah, his career is going well. He's one of these guys that a couple L's didn't derail his career. He's mentally strong. He believes in it.
3 L's in a row, and then now 3 wins in a row.
3 wins in a row like that. I think that says something, bro. I think he has a long career. I can see him maybe he probably doesn't touch gold, but he could be one of these guys that's in the top 15 for years and years and years.
I wonder if he'll move to 35 once he hits age 35 or 36. I wonder if going down to 125 is a little tough at 5'10".
I could see it, but I think he could go with 35ers. I think he could go with 35ers. He showed he had the power. I mean, he has the
Speed, technique.
athleticism, the reach. Yeah, I think he could go with 35ers. But yeah, no, we can keep it pushing. Up next, we got the 15th ranked Jasduvicius, who is aging rapidly at 35, minus 135, taking on Fatima Kline, only 24 years old, short notice replacement, plus 115, dog, undefeated, but only 6-0 coming into this one. Apparently, Fatima Kline typically fights at strawweight. And man, Ray Longo was ball washing Fatima Kline even after this performance. I think he made the statement on Anik and Florian that, like, 12 months from now, she'll be a top 15 strawweight.
I don't know if I saw that. I would push back.
I would too, but like a lot of co-signers. I saw somebody else on X saying that this was the best unsigned girl in the world.
Yeah, I heard that too.
She has believers. Well, the thing is that where I think our disconnect is, not that we're that disconnected, but I'm higher on Jasduvicius than you are. So I think that, like, her going the distance with Jasduvicius, granted, I don't give her a single round, neither does any of the judge, but I think going the distance with a top 15 girl, up a weight class, in your 7th professional fight, in your UFC debut, I get that's a lot of spin. I'm spinning like a fucking curveball right now, but, like, if you want to make those arguments, they're there to be made. Now, you can make the argument you're making where, like, hey, you're as good as your last fight, and maybe it was too much too soon.
So you're telling me I should take a Benoit Saint Denis approach to this and assume it's like at least like when he fought Easy DS, it was like up a weight class. Like, this guy's a prospect. He's new to it. It's his debut. So take all that into consideration, and then, like, probably Kline comes out in her next fight and is a killer, and we get to actually see her be a monster because she'll get a full camp. We'll be at her right weight.
Like, if you give her one of these strawweight prospects, like, let me go to my strawweight list real quick. Like, you put her in there with, like, a Canalosi or a Dudakova, Emily Ducote, or an Elise Reed, I think she looks really fucking good. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with you.
Probably gets a finish.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I might have been being a little too hard on her, but I think a lot of that had to do with the way she was being sold to me, not necessarily what I saw in the octagon.
I think there's a world where both are true. The Vicious, like, is pretty fucking good. Like, not a world beater, but like a top 15, top 20, top 12, maybe even girl, and up a weight class, way more experienced. Training camp, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's all these kind of caveats.
Right. Yeah. So, I'm with you now.
But that being said, I mean, we don't got to go round by round. I mean,
I was going to say that too.
Wasn't that competitive?
That's what I was going to say. Is doesn't really win many instances of the fight, even within round. Like, doesn't win a round, obviously, but really doesn't have many moments of, like, seeming right. Like, the success really wasn't even there. That's why I'm saying, like, yeah, I don't know. And, like, the BSD comparison's the best one because BSD got his ass whooped by Easy DS, came down to his real weight, and was a killer.
Yeah, and I think, like, how many strawweights, granted, it's kind of hard to make the comparison because Elizio's a savage and Jasduvicius is the decision merchant, but, like, I don't think there's many strawweight prospects making it the distance up a weight class with Jasduvicius. Like a Josephine Knudsen or a Dudakova, like that level of girl who are kind of similar in experience to Fatima Kline. I don't know if they make it the distance with Jasduvicius in Denver at altitude. I'm kind of giving her a pass for this one. Yeah, let's take the BSD approach. Wait and see.
Fair.
The Ray Longo cosign kind of goes a long way for me because that's not just some jerk up on Twitter. Like, he knows his shit.
Maybe we'll get a good number on Kline in her next fight because of this loss.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. But yeah, I mean, good win for Jasduvicius. Doesn't really do shit for Jasduvicius. She gets a paycheck. She gets 2 paychecks, but doesn't, like, I couldn't move her up in my flyweight rankings for it. And I have her probably higher than most people. Like, I actually have Jasduvicius right behind Cortez. They fight pretty similarly. She's not as flashy, she's not as popular, but they fight pretty fucking similarly.
Yeah, you know what, though? One girl's way more active and, like, seems to want to fight.
Yeah, just Jasduvicius is going to run out of time at 35. That's her thing.
I agree.
But, yeah, we can keep it pushing. And up next we got. Oh, this is the fight I can't wait to talk about. Let me go grab. Let me go
Yeah.
grab some soap and a sponge because I'm about to ball wash.
Yeah.
Let's go, man. And we got to stick our chest out on this one because like Vegas had this money line really close.
Really
You
close.
already
Way
called
too
out
close.
Matty Betts, but he wasn't the only one. There's a bunch of betting accounts I follow on X on Instagram that were all over Blackshear because it was a striker versus grappler. But like that's the same reason why, bro. Whenever Pereira fights on Kalaev, I'm taking the same
That's why
energy
I'm
as I
taking
took to Montel
Pereira.
Jackson. Like it doesn't like grappler doesn't always beat striker. That's like
Right. Like
way
they're each
oversimplifying.
other's kryptonite. Like it doesn't make sense to say that like a grappler would just immediately be like, "Oh yeah, he can't." Like Sean O'Malley knocked out Aljo. What are we talking about?
I mean, look, shout out Mackenzie Dern. I mean, you know what I mean? Gets beat up by strikers all the
Oh
time.
yeah,
Like,
RDA or not RDA. I'm sorry. Oh God, who is he? He's old school Damian Maya never won a
yeah,
belt.
Daniel. Yeah. Yeah, so people just saying that Blackshear was going to out grapple Montel Jackson, like, hey, the fight starts on the feet. I mean, Captain Obvious, but like,
That was actually probably the most important point in this fight was that it started on the feet because this fight only lasts 18 seconds.
yeah, man. And then Cruz had his sick kind of John Anik kind of moment where he was like, man, this guy Jackson has the quickest straight punches. And then he comes out
Sink.
1-2. Yeah, just it was a 1-2. I mean, the fight could have been stopped at like 6 seconds. Like the ground
It
and
was
pound.
weird, right? Like I thought it was obvious. Like Blackshear, like literally, like a flat line got dropped.
Yeah, and see, this is the one. This is the fight Gaines was messaging me. Like Gaines was saying, like, "Oh, I thought this was an early stop." It's like, bro, you're tweaking. You're tweaking.
No way!
Yeah, come on,
Holy
come
shit!
on.
Does he want to see people
Yeah, and he's our
die?
friend in the medical field. Come on, do better, Gaines. Do better, Gaines. He is a meathead though. Love the guy. He's a
Shout
meathead,
out!
but
Shout
like,
out!
but yeah, he wanted to see murder. I mean, yeah, dropped him, knocked him out. I'm totally fine with the stoppage, especially factoring the ground and pound. I mean, he let rip like a fucking what, like a 5 piece on the ground and pound, unanswered,
Do you,
undefended.
do you know what
Um,
this looked almost identical to? Peyton Talbot knocking out Giannis Kamori because it was literally Blackshear gets credited with landing one leg kick thrown. As he throws the leg
oh,
kick, that's whenever he eats a 1-2 down the pipe from Jackson and gets just flatlined.
yeah, man. And Jackson, he has a couple losses like earlier in his career, but I think it's safe to say he's learned from those, and I think he's a way better fighter now than he was then.
His problem is the
He
same
also
thing as Tracy Cortez, man. Got to fight more than once a year. You got to fight more than once a year.
in his mic time was hot dog shit. Like it
Holy
was such
shit,
a fumble.
he's never in there. He doesn't know how to do it. Doesn't get enough practice.
I'll say he's had canceled fights against Chris Gutierrez, Saeed Nurmagomedov, and Farid Basharat. I'd be fine with rebooking any of those. I think all those guys are better than Blackshear. They're all a step up. Saeed might even have a ranking. Gutierrez has a ranking. Farid's super high prospect. I think he starches Farid Basharat. Farid Basharat, we talked
I
about it
do
before,
too.
not violent enough. He
I
cannot
agree.
match the violence level,
You
the
can't.
fighter's fortitude
You're not gonna be
of
able to point
Montel
fight.
Jackson.
You're not gonna be able to point fight Jackson, especially with his length. Like he's a long striker.
And Anik pointed something out in a very Anik way on his podcast that like actual measurement, like combine measurement wise, Jackson's hands are the biggest hands in the division. That's why he gets that power. He has actual club.
Oh, that's right.
Uh,
I forgot about that. He has
he
like
has like
the five
freakishly
XL
like
gloves or whatever it is.
yeah, like
Like Ngannou
I think
size hands.
yeah, like, I think like Andre Johnson was like the wide NFL wide receiver. They had to make like custom gloves for. He just has
That's
like these
correct. Yeah.
freakish hands. Um, Performance of the night bonus fucking better have
Yeah,
gotten one. Jesus
obviously, like the
Christ.
most obvious performance of
Um,
the night bonus.
the only thing that sucks is he really doesn't have a signature win. Like you could argue this was it, but I mean Ronnie Yaya, Damon Blackshear, Julio Arce, like kind of who cares? I mean Brian Kelleher, and then he has the loss to Ricky Simone, but that was back in 2018. I think he beats up Ricky Simone today.
I think he starches Ricky Simone today. Ricky Simone is a shell of himself.
And Jackson's better. Like you combine those two things.
It's crazy because Anthony Smith looked about as good as Ricky Simone, and Anthony Smith is a guy who, admittedly, by his own self, is saying he doesn't know if he still wants to fight. Like, I'm worried about Ricky Simone.
I don't care about it, but we I mean, let's talk power rankings here at bantamweight. I mean, one of our favorite divisions is ultra deep division. I moved Montel Jackson up to 14, bro. I jumped him over Dominic Cruz. I did
Damn.
not jump him over Henry Cejudo. But even Tapology has him at 20. I have Peyton Talbot at 20, and I mean that's a good matchup. I think him and Peyton Talbot's a great matchup. But
that is the matchup I'd probably make next. That being said,
I don't think so, bro. I think Montel Jackson needs like an actual name, and I guess you could argue what does actual name mean, like a Pedro Munoz or a Said Nurmagomedov. I think is like the perfect level.
I'd argue Talbot is a bigger name than both those guys at this point. Like currently, the current stock of Peyton Talbot is incredibly high.
Stock and name are different. Like Munoz has been on pay-per-view main cards.
I think stock. I think if your stock is incredibly high, like the highlight that he had, the fact that everyone was talking about his KO, I think that like I'm saying, the effect in social media isn't fully worn off yet. Like people will recognize the name.
Yeah, but by the time
they
fight in 4 or 5 months, it will be. Is my point.
Yeah, but when you sell these highlights back to back and they look identical.
So, like, why would you want to matchmake those two guys against each other? Like,
Jackson's not young.
No, but I don't know. I just think he needs somebody established.
Well, I'm saying
maybe that's the word.
You think Jackson needs someone more established, like Dominic Cruz?
Yeah, but like I said, I'm not even gonna get over my skis and like I don't think that fight gets signed. I think the Said Nurmagomedov fight could get made. Like I said, it was already booked once. They could rebook it.
I could see that fight being terrible, though. I'd rather see the Gutierrez fight.
Too, but like that's what I'm saying. Guys that have been ranked, guys with. It's not that I want to watch the Pedro Munoz fight. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying like the credentials, the former rankings, the card placement. Talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
I think for as good as Montel Jackson has looked, I have a really hard time rewarding him with a guy that matters whenever. I mean, like J.P. Bays, Julio Arce, Jesse Schrader.
But that's my point. He keeps beating like these, like that type of guy.
Once a year. He's got to start being more active. Like if he beat all those guys in 1 year, yeah, Pedro Munoz, 100%. He beat all those guys in 4 years. I don't know.
Right, but you can make the same. What's Pedro Munoz doing?
He did a lot more to get to the point that he didn't have to do that. This guy hasn't done that. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's stages of a career. And then my point, to be exacerbated by that, is this guy's 32. Like, he's past the point of taking a bunch of fights all at once.
We need to get the show on the road. Like,
I couldn't agree more, but someone should have told him this when he was 28.
But see, to me, that's too much like woulda, coulda, shoulda, bro. Like, we got to, like, manage the career from, like, this day moving forward. Like, I feel you. Now, if you're saying he waits months to fight any of those guys, sure. But if he fights any of those guys I just listed in 4 months, then, like, that argument of inactivity kind of goes out the window.
Yeah, he needs to get booked again immediately for me to keep any sort of hype on him. Because every time that he doesn't sign a fight or have a fight come through or take a short notice fight, I forget about him.
Agreed.
Like, his name is worthless to all the guys you're talking about because nobody knows who he is because he never fights. Like, why would Pedro Munoz take that fight? You know what I mean? Why would Chris Gutierrez take that fight?
Well, because Pedro Munoz is on an L streak, right? Like, I mean, he hasn't really had much leverage, right? I mean,
But if I'm Pedro Munoz, I'm saying give me someone else that's more my age with a bigger name because I'm Pedro Munoz and, like, it's like we can sell more tickets. Like, don't give me this guy that I'm going to sell all the tickets for him.
I don't know, man. I guess we agree to disagree on this one. But the good news is bantamweight is so goddamn deep that you kind of can't go wrong. Kind of can't. Listen, if they give him a Peyton Talbot, fucking awesome. If they give him a Pedro Munoz, fucking awesome. If they give him a Said Nurmagomedov, fucking awesome. If they give him a Chris Gutierrez, fucking awesome. Like I don't think you can kind of go wrong here. I think the only way you go wrong is by giving him or a Pineda or as long as there's something on it, something. It could be a veteran like Munoz, it could be a young stud like Talbot. Like as long as there's something on it, the fight has to matter. Like he's on the prelims of a fight night. Like whatever fight is next needs to get him on a main card, at least of a main card of a fight night. And I think all of those fights we just listed do that. So
Yeah,
we're in a way we're disagreeing, but like the level of fighter, the tier of fighter, we're agreeing on. We're just arguing over semantics. But let's keep it pushing here. Let me see you puff out your chest a little bit. Let me see it. Let me see you puff out your chest.
Wouldn't even mind him seeing running it back with Ricky Simone. But yeah, to your point, let's keep it pushing to the bet that I fucking nailed. This drug addict gambling whore, Agapova. Sorry. I went a little hard there. Got too juiced.
Like literally, bro. Like as somebody who's lived in like bad neighborhoods,
she looks like one, right?
I mean, I work downtown of a major city that has like some crime. Like, she looks like a girl that you would see like on an episode of Cops, right?
Yeah. Outside the trailer, fucking around like with some black tar.
Call it judgmental if you want. Like there's judgmental and there's also like observations, right? Like
and apparently proven track record as well.
Track mark record, what? But Luana Santos minus 380. We got her on minus 400 on a parlay, and we had her by sub at plus 155. Shout out. Taking on Maria Agapova plus 300. I mean, yeah, this was a slam dunk for me. Like I said, we laid the minus 400 on a parlay, which we usually don't do, but we just felt so confident in it. The leg cash added some value to the parlay on the fourth leg. Agapova was on a 3-fight L streak. I think both of those were by sub. But guess what? Guess how Santos wins her fight? By sub.
And then Agapova's on an L streak in life outside of fighting. Like that's the person that's ready to quit.
Oh, for sure, bro. Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, even the plus 155 felt like stealing, bro. That should have been like a minus 120.
It felt so juicy to get any sort of value back on that. I was like, oh, I gotta bet it. It's over plus 100.
Minus 400 to win. Wins by sub, and she's fighting a girl that only loses by sub. Like. Once again, caveman math works all the time, bro.
Yeah. To Chael's point about MMA math, like, shit works. I mean, people knock it all the time, but that shit works.
It works, bro. I'll say, man, just the one unspoken theme of last night's card was like dog shit arm triangle attempts, especially the prelims.
You know what, though? I wonder if Agapova's just so skinny and is just so used to low heart rate activities that like that wasn't a problem for her, you know?
Like, that's like a little fent high real quick.
Right, like a blood choke, that ain't getting her. You got to cut the air.
Oh, my God. But, yeah, I mean, and also Santos, shout out to her because she doesn't get a takedown. People will forget in the storytelling of this fight. Oh, submission, she's a grappler. She must have got a takedown. No, she had a knockdown.
Yeah.
She got a knockdown.
Floored her.
Go into kind of an arm triangle. It wasn't the best arm triangle. Wasn't the tightest. Gave Agapova a free buzz real quick, and then but then Agapova gave the back, locked in the rear naked choke, and then tapped so quick and so emphatically. She couldn't wait to tap.
It was a person that was ready to quit.
I don't know. We're roasting Agapova for being on drugs. I'm over here wiping my nose. My allergies been whooping my ass all day. I am not taking the Conor McGregor ski slopes over here, but yeah, man. Santos, I mean, gets the win by sub, cashes the parlay late, cashes the fucking, and I think I had her on a prop 2 leg that ends up. Oh yeah, I had her also parlayed with
Ponzi by KO,
which obviously didn't end up cashing, but she did her part. Super high on Luana Santos, bro. Let's see where I moved her up to. I have her at 14.
That's super fair. I think that's right. That's where I have her too. That's why I say that.
I struggled. I almost jumped over Ariana Lipski, but Ariana Lipski has had some higher level competition, more L's. Like Ariana Lipski has like worse L's but better wins, but more experience. Probably maybe a little better striking. Who knows? I that might be the fight to make, honestly.
Yeah, because I think that's a fight where it's a one girl wins 5 and one girl wins the other 5 out of a 10 fight matchup. Like if that makes sense. I think both those girls
Super,
have
yeah.
multiple paths to victory against each other, and it's just a good fight every time.
I'll say if you really want to like, because Santos 24, never been finished, by the way. I mean, if you want to kind of get this show on the road, I wouldn't mind even giving her like a Chikagian or a Jasduvicius. Like, I doubt, or even a Hebos. Like, I think Lipski makes the most sense as far as my power rankings goes. But if you're trying to shovel some coal in this hype train, I think there's bigger names that you can give her that are like winnable fights.
I fully agree. I think Luana Santos is a girl that we maybe need to keep track of. Like I think is a player in the division.
I love these young flyweights, bro. You got Santos, you got Natalia Silva, you got Karine Silva, you got Barber, you got Blanchfield. I love these young flyweights, dude. I really do. I really do.
Well,
They're awesome.
Not to mention the top end is still 4 killers technically between Rose, Fioro, Shevchenko, and Grasso. Like if those are the 4 older girls, like I know they're older, but their skill sets are still very high. Like I like where this division is at.
The fucking 3 Brazilian horsewomen though of flyweight. You got Santos and the 2 Silvas. It's as Brazilian
Santos,
as it gets.
Silva, yeah.
Yeah. They're good, bro. Like how they matchmake those 3 is gonna like shape this division for years to come. Like actually.
This is really the only division in women's MMA right now that matters, in my opinion, because strawweight is kind of a 2 to 3 dog race, and bantamweight might as well be Kayla Harrison's division based on what I've seen.
Yeah, we need to get her a belt ASAP.
Yeah,
let's
get
the
road. Gold on the road. Let's do it.
But yeah, let's keep it pushing. That was a nice ball wash and some funny digs at Agapova. But let's keep it pushing to a fight that, you know what? About this one too. This is another one we had dialed in better than Vegas, man. Let's pump it out our chest this week. We had a tough month at the books. You know what I mean? We had a tough month at the books.
Yeah, I was saying,
pump out our chest when we got to.
I was saying that to Kenny, man. Like month of June, not that nice to me, minus the very first week, and the first week of obviously July wasn't great. So that one solid month of just not the best gambling, I'm ready to get back.
Yeah, this is get right week, baby. Petroski minus 110, taking on Josh Fremd, obviously minus 110 as well. And bro, we nailed this one too. That like Petroski, not a world beater, you know, odd, boring, whatever. Fremd is like an actual certified can, and Petroski is not. I didn't much like we disagree with the Joshua Van Charles Johnson money line. Like the value was just off on him.
Yeah,
the value was off on this one.
I couldn't agree more. It was just like Fremd is like not by any like you can't say Fremd is a good fighter. Like you'd be hard pressed to say. Now Petroski, I think you could argue that he's an okay.
He's good.
He's good. Yeah, like he's good, right? Then like, and that might even be like saying his ceiling. Like when he's at his ceiling, like he's good. Now that being said, I think Petroski also has a much higher floor. Like while I think that Fremd and Petroski have like the same ceiling, Fremd's floor is low as hell, whereas Petroski's floor pretty high compared to his ceiling. Like Petroski's a weird guy because he is gonna be a perennial like essentially koozie if he wants to be.
I agree. And Fremd, I mean, you talk about a guy with bad losses. I mean, Trayshawn Gore. Actually, I mean, I guess they're not as bad as I like to remember. He has a loss to Horse Meat Rodriguez back in LFA. That would have been imagine going to your local casino and watching that fight. That would have been sick. But yeah, lost to Anthony Hernandez. That's a good loss, but lost to Trayshawn Gore by sub, who is not a submission artist. And then the wins, about as bad as you can get, Dumas and Pickett. Lost to Kopylov, decent loss, and then now the loss to Petroski. He's 2-4 in the UFC. He was 1-0 in Bellator. Maybe he should go back to Bellator. But, yeah, man. I mean, I've been out on Fremd for a long time, and I'm like, you know, I'm not more out on Petroski, but I know he's a higher level than Fremd. So, like I said, the minus 110 coin flip, I mean, I was riding Petroski. We threw him on a parlay. juice to the parlay with that -110 on a
So
parlay.
think about us riding Jackson and Petroski -130, -110, and being very confident in those.
Yeah, and then the leg that cashes was the biggest or the leg that busted the parlay was the biggest number. I'm pretty sure. Well, Santos on the 4-legger, but on my
Right.
3-legger, I had a 3-legger. It was Petroski, Jackson, and Ponzinibbio. And Ponzinibbio was the biggest favorite.
Robbery. Ski mask robbery.
Ski mask robbery for sure, bro. But I mean, as far as the fight itself goes, X's and O's, each and every round, Petroski got a takedown, and each and every round, Petroski had 4 minutes of control. So
yeah, bro,
he had advanced position. Like we talked about on the Santos breakdown, some dog shit arm triangle attempts, kind of the theme of the night. Dean Thomas was like roasting him about it. Like,
like no ground and pound from Petroski. Like he was literally fighting so hard to keep the position because it looks like he doesn't even have heavy hips on top. Like he was struggling so hard to keep his position that he couldn't even throw strikes.
We're good-ish. We're good-ish. But we'll put a bow on this one. 30-27, Petroski. Once again, we nailed the betting breakdown. Money line was way off. Cashed the parlay leg. Doesn't really do much for Petroski as far as moving up, but hopefully this gets Fremd the fuck out of here. I mean, easy can. What can I say? I mean, he's 6'4". Maybe he would do good in a smaller promotion, but not UFC caliber. And then we got the curtain jerkers up next if you want to keep it pushing.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm down. Honestly, this fight was added super late as well. We have Evan Elder -500 taking on Darius Flowers, who finished at plus 360. Is that right?
Yeah, plus 360, plus 380, somewhere in there, depending on where you look. But yeah, I mean, this fight took place at welterweight between two lightweights because, like you said, it was added on like 4 days' notice for both of them. Don't really understand why.
Yeah, very unnecessary fight. Like, I didn't need this fight to be on this card. This card didn't need a sixth prelim.
Hey, you know what it accomplished, though? Accomplished getting Flowers the fuck out of here.
Maybe that's what this was like the UFC, like, literally called him and was like, hey, loser leaves town contract. Like, you up? Because if not, we're just cutting you.
Real talk. Flowers, like, on my anti-pound for pound list. I know I just kind of went in on Fremd and we went in on Agapova. Flowers worse than both of them.
Well, think about it this way. Like, Evan Elder shouldn't be -500 over anybody that's on the UFC roster, but there actually is a guy that he deserves to be -500 over, and it's this guy. So let's get him the fuck out of here, to your point.
Agreed, brother. And to Elder's point, he did what he had to do. He came in here and basically looked like a -500
favorite. Like, honestly dominated. Like, looked great, in my opinion, but it's Darius Flowers.
Exactly. Get to the round 2 arm triangle. Won the first round with damage and output. He won on the feet. He won on the ground. He gets the sub. Oh, and then there was the start of round 2 where Flowers was milking the fake low blow.
That's right,
because he had gassed himself already in 5 minutes because he's a can.
I cannot believe that, dude. I cannot believe that because I put it out of my head. First fight of the night, I almost forgot with all the other shit that happens, but I thought he was actually asking the ref, like, do I have to continue? Like, it seemed like he was really, like, legitimately, openly milking it, like, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, I usually am not the biggest Cruz fan on the broadcast, but in this instance, I was glad because Cruz was calling him out big time. And Cruz was calling out Brundage, too. So, like, that's when Cruz is good. When you need somebody to, like, not be a company man and not be PC and actually call out a fighter. And guess what? Former champ, he actually can. It's like John Anik or, somebody like that, or Brendan Fitzgerald. They're not going to feel like they can call out these guys.
Or Bisping, who talks shit all the time. So, you always take what he says with a grain of salt.
Or not.
Like, right, yeah. Whereas, like, Cruz, it's like, oh, this is legit.
This guy's actually on bullshit right now, and I'm actually the only guy here that can say it, so I'm going to. It's kind of sick. That's like the only time I like Cruz on the broadcast, to be honest. Like, every once in a while, it comes in handy.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, man. Darius Flowers, that was... I mean, even if this fight went to decision and he pulled that move, you're getting cut for just that.
Yeah, he's bad. No, Evan Elder, man, I got to say, I did move him out of my can tier, but barely, and I still have him ranked 80s, so it's not like a ringing endorsement. Lightweight's just so deep.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm going to say that's fair just based on the fact that, I thought you were going to say something like you had him up near, 60 or 55, and I was going to be like, oh, hell no.
I have him at 82, but it's just
Yeah.
like my can tier starts at 85 because there's 1.5 million lightweights. But yeah, Evan Elder. I mean, it's weird. Evan Elder is another one of these guys. I don't want to put him in the same category as Brundage, but like people talk about him in this like. I have a lot of nice things to say about Evan Elder, and I kind of don't see it. I just maybe he's a really nice guy. Maybe he's a good training partner. I don't know what it is, but like behind the scenes, like fighters and commentators seem to like this guy. So I don't know.
I could see myself writing an Evan Elder fade after this performance, just knowing how he's not good, but how he got the worst matchup, or the best matchup possible for himself, worst fighter in the UFC, and so people might be carrying that stock a little higher going forward. Yeah, look for me to fade Evan Elder going forward is my takeaway off this fight.
Yeah, I mean, especially against anybody decent. Yeah, for sure, brother. But yeah, man, that wraps up episode 175, our UFC Denver breakdown recap. Back in the green. Should have been so much more in the green. Like it's hard to even feel good
Should have
about
been a
it.
tree
Like
of
it's
life
really,
out here.
I'm up 5 units this week, but I missed out on like an additional unit. So it's just like I don't want to be greedy. I know the gambling gods don't like when you're greedy. Like can't go broke taking a profit, but it's a kick in the nuts.
Yeah, man. If Ponzinibbio just wins that fight, we're both sitting so much prettier. Which he did, yeah. To be fair,
Yeah.
to his credit.
Yeah, no, Dean Thomas and Kamaru Usman on the post-fight show were kind of like going in on that decision, which made me feel better as well.
God damn, it doesn't make my wallet feel better, but it's still not any lighter.
We'll be back for another betting breakdown. What do we got next? We got like the worst card in UFC history. Jandy Doba and
Jandy
Lemos.
Lemos. Jandy Doba can't even
It's
look at
bad.
the camera. It's tough on the the fight card to sell it. Like she's not looking at the camera with either eye. It's so tough.
It's tough. I'm not looking forward to this card. But after that, we get what UFC Manchester, right? So,
Yes, sir. Which would be great. Which would be great.
Card.
And then the weekend after that, I'll be with you in Reno, and it will be Sandhagen Nurmagomedov.
Fuck yeah, bro. But yeah, got a good month. We just gotta get through next week, and then we'll coast out the end of July riding high. But yeah, brother, good episode, man. Appreciate your time. Check us out on X at Beefy Breakdown, on IG Beefy Boys Breakdown. We got a Facebook page, Beefy Boys Breakdown, and we're the only show out there doing every single fight on every single card and giving you betting picks that win. So yeah, go ahead and subscribe. Appreciate y'all watching.
Yes, sir. See you next week for Limos Jandiroba.